later that day.
Yeah, I might put her down.
Using his military experience, he carried out a near-perfect murder that kept detectives one step behind for years. By the time investigators began to narrow in on him, John was already long gone, living in a new state, in a new house, running away with his 17-year-old girlfriend, and seemingly getting away for good.
This defies any kind of logic that I have experienced in my 62 years on this earth. We know more than you think.
What if I told you that your cell phone did ping somewhere other than where you say you were?
It's 2:15 p.m. on October 24th, 2016. 22-year-old Cati Blauvelt is captured on CCTV inside her workplace. Her shift is soon coming to an end, and she's planning to meet her mother at 3 p.m. that same day. She leaves, calls her mother, and takes a selfie, unaware it's the last photo she ever takes. Not long after, her phone pings a location for the last time, and Cati disappears without a trace. 5 hours passed by. It's now 7 p.m., and Cati never arrived for dinner with her mother. Worried, the mother and other family members try calling her multiple times, but her phone has no signal. At 7:48 p.m., Cati's mother reports her missing. Officers, friends, and family mobilize to look for her, and the search officially begins. But this left detectives with a critical 5-hour gap in the timeline, one they would spend months trying to piece together. 10 hours would go past without any clues about Cati's whereabouts. Then, at 12:33 a.m., the police receive an unexpected call. One of Cati's friends is on the line, claiming he's just found her body, dead, inside an abandoned house deep in a nearby forest.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
I'm in that Discover Church across from it, in the woods.
You're at Discover Church across from where?
In the woods across from it. I was worried about my friend, Cati, and she went missing. She's been missing for a while now, and we came in this house that we used to hang out in, and she's in there. She's not alive.
Quickly, medics and police rush to the address of an abandoned house deep in the woods. Upon arriving at the scene, officers notice multiple graffiti markings, including apparent satanic symbols. Soon after, they identify the caller as Wayne Roper, a friend of Cati, who leads them into the basement of the abandoned house. There, officers find a large concrete box sealed with plywood. When they remove the cover, they're met with a horrifying sight. Cati's body lies inside, with a knife pierced through her neck and 16 stab wounds across her body. The lack of struggle and the state of her clothing, with her shirt pulled up and her lower clothes missing, suggested a sexually motivated killing. All of these details point detectives straight to Wayne as their first potential suspect. But what they don't realize is that this is exactly what the killer wants them to think. Every detail of the scene has been arranged to send them chasing the wrong lead. Without realizing it, detectives have walked straight into the killer's setup.
It reminds me of 3 longer stories.
Hey, the score bet. How my passing yards looking?
It's tracking, but they're also up 16 in the 4th.
They're gonna run out the clock.
Looks like it.
Okay, cash out.
Done.
Welcome to Luxury Casino, one of Ontario's most trusted online casinos. Win rate guarantee.
Whether you like pot collecting, Vegas-style games, or tumble slots, you can choose from our exclusive collection
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
best casino games on the market. Check out our...
I just got my phone back, got a tablet.
As the night went on, forensics revealed
Yo, I'm back, yo.
Cati's body had been dragged
I'm
to
back,
the
I'm back.
basement and the phone was
It's
found
been like 5 months.
water to
Finally
destroy
got some
it.
money.
Wayne is detained and
Well,
held for
since
questioning. At the moment, detectives believe they have their killer and they're ready to push for a confession.
Before Christmas.
Hey, buddy. What's your name, pal?
Well, I'm happy I have a new phone and a new tablet, so save up some more money and get a good laptop, you know?
At this point,
But
Wayne
thank you
believes
guys
he's
for
been
tuning
brought
in.
to be questioned as a witness after the heartbreaking discovery, unaware that detectives are already convinced about his involvement
Dead
in the
ass.
murder, and any statement
Dead
he
ass.
makes might be used against him.
I think you know why you're here, right? Yeah. Okay. Tell me how did you meet Kate? Just from the time you met her, kind of what your relationship was, and leave you down until, 11:30 or so last night, okay?
I first met her, we were friends at first, and then we dated for like a month or so, and then that's whenever I moved to Liberty with my dad, and we stayed in contact for a little bit. So I was with my dad, so when I was gone, I lost contact.
Detectives begin the interview by learning that Wayne and Katie were once together, but quickly, Wayne reveals something that would immediately put suspicion onto his name.
Maybe a year later, that Katie got married to John Waldo, and then one night she came and hung out with us with John. It was the first time I've seen her since I moved, and since then John moved in with them, a roommate, being $200 a month. I took it up, it was a good deal.
So you live with her or husband?
Yeah, it was.
When was this? Do you remember when this was?
When I lived with them, it was before June this year.
As Wayne explains that he once dated Katie and later lived with her and her husband, detectives gain another reason to suspect him: jealousy. And just as everything appears to be moving in the perfect direction for the real killer and his carefully constructed plan, Wayne makes a claim that complicates the investigation and may just be enough to ruin the killer's plan.
Living there, everything like going okay, then they started having arguments because of me, because she used to talk about me before, and she told me that he was jealous of me, and their arguments started getting worse, and that was whenever he got drunk one night and cussed her out, and he had her in the bathroom. They were just pretty much just screaming at each other. And from there, she ended up moving back with her mom, I think.
When did you and Katie, when you were living with John and Katie, were y'all being intimate with each other?
It was only once.
And John was there or not there?
It was it was like or something. Yeah.
And how did that come about?
I was drunk and he was drunk and I was right there.
Hi,
Like after that, like he just
Amelia. What's up? Thanks for
Wayne's
tuning in.
claims about John's violent behavior could shift suspicion
You like
towards him.
crime shows?
But despite Wayne's accusations, something still doesn't add up. His story, with its inconsistencies and gaps, keeps raising suspicions. Because prior to this interrogation,
Don't forget to
detectives learned
subscribe,
that on the day
guys.
of Katie's death, Wayne arrived late to work, and he admits to walking near the abandoned house around the time Katie disappeared. More importantly, while at work, Wayne was aware that Katie might be inside that very house. Yet despite that suspicion, he never alerted authorities. Instead, he waited until the end of the day, went there himself, and only then called the police. All of this places Wayne squarely in the crosshairs of investigators, and
Crazy,
unknowingly pushes them further into the real killer's trap. Because in the next few minutes, the interview will take a terrifying turn as detectives unknowingly edge closer to forcing an innocent man into confession to a brutal murder that he never committed. But before we get to that, recently I've been dealing with these headaches for 3 weeks straight, and I kept pushing off seeing a doctor because I've always struggled to find one that works for me and my insurance. That's where I used ZocDoc, the sponsor of today's video. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors. ZocDoc isn't just for one type of care. ZocDoc has over 150,000 providers across nearly every specialty, from primary care to dental, eye care, urgent care, mental health, and more. It's basically a one-stop shop for your healthcare needs, and it's completely free to use. When you found the doctor you need, you can see their actual appointment openings. Plus, ZocDoc helps you get appointments fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking, and you can even score same-day appointments. No need to call doctor's offices and wait on hold either. So if there's something you've been ignoring, make it easier on yourself. Go to ZocDoc.com/DrInsanity. That's ZocDoc.com/DrInsanity, or click the link in the description to find and instantly book a top-rated in-network doctor today. I-24 and network doctor today. With that said, let's get back to Wayne's interview, where detectives are on the verge of pushing an innocent man into a murder confession.
Why did you call the police?
I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't.
Did you know she was dead? Why would you think the best idea is for you to walk into what turns out to be her final resting place, where somebody murdered her and dumped her down there like a piece of trash? You know why you didn't look in the bathroom?
We glanced in there with the flashlight. Like, if you're standing at the door of it, you can see in there.
You can't see in the tub. I'm telling you, I was up there today. Because she wasn't in the tub. This defies any kind of logic that I have experienced in my 62 years on this earth.
You look like you're gonna pass out. This is too much.
I bet it is. Get it off of you then. I'm sure it is. All you gotta do is lay it down. If you lay the burden down, that's the only way you can be forgiven. You gotta say, I messed up. Help me. That's what you gotta say. And I'll do it. But I'm not gonna do it on credit.
Detectives remain suspicious of Wayne, but with him sticking to his story and no hard evidence, they couldn't yet arrest him. Instead, they collected his DNA sample to compare with the DNA found underneath Katie's fingernails. But that's when, just a few hours after Wayne's interview, as police search the area around the abandoned house, they stumble upon Katie's car, only a few miles from the crime scene, left abandoned in a nearby parking lot. It looked as if she had left in a hurry, but the reason her car ended up there would remain one of the biggest mysteries for the following months. Up to this point, everything was going according to the killer's plan. One designed and carried out by Katie's own husband, John Blauvelt. But Wayne's comments about his jealousy pushed detectives to dig deeper. What they found was a restraining order filed months earlier after John had allegedly pulled a gun on Katie when she refused to give him her phone. For the first time, despite his efforts, officers were seriously beginning to suspect John. So the next day, on October 26th, detectives approach him at his office on the military base where he works. Their goal is simple: hear his side of the story, verify his alibi for the day Katie died, and see how he reacts under pressure. For most perpetrators, this would be the moment everything starts to fall apart. But John isn't like the rest. He would play it perfectly.
Alright, well, they're out on the southeast main street. There's a body that was found in the house, okay, an abandoned house. And at this point, we're able to say that it is Cati, okay? I'm so sorry for your loss, sir. At this time, we are investigating, and we will investigate every death the same way. We start with homicide and work our way from there, okay? What the restraining order deal? What's the deal with that?
This is a charge that I got back in February, domestic violence first degree.
Do you Do you know if she had any issues with anybody? Anybody hurt her or anything like that?
No, and I know that she's been dating around and, it's whatever. It doesn't too.
Notice how John intentionally directs detectives towards the fact that Cati is dating around. Him pointing this out isn't a coincidence. It's a strategy. By controlling the narrative this early, John is quietly planting a story that will protect him later.
Did you work this Monday? What time did you get
That's
off?
crazy, yo.
Like 2:30ish, 2, I don't know.
I suck
You
at
saw
lying.
anywhere on the way home? Let me ask you this, why were you looking for Katie?
For Cheyenne. Cheyenne's put her down and just trying to help her out.
Who do you know that would want to do harm to her?
Nobody.
You know, there's a guy that used to live with you, redhead fella.
Redhead?
Yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah. What's his story?
Pretty good, dude. Good guy.
That's right. What do you do for the Army?
Well, right now I'm just sitting in a small office right now. Because of the civil investigation, all of my recruiting duties have been suspended.
Are you familiar with this abandoned house?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the spot.
What's the spot?
Hangout spot. Am I being charged for the crime? Because he's recording me. And I'm not comfortable with that. If I am, I'd like to contact a lawyer. Because this is uncomfortable.
Okay.
You're not being charged. Okay. Not right now.
As the interview ends, John does something counterintuitive. He defends Wayne, the man he's secretly framing. It's a manipulation tactic known as reverse empathy. By showing compassion, he makes himself appear harmless and trustworthy. John's first interrogation had gone almost perfectly, leaving detectives with little they could use against him. Still, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. With no evidence to hold him, he was let go, and officers would turn to those closest to John and Cati, their friends and family, unaware that John had already influenced them.
Crazy.
Detectives started with Crystal, Cati's best friend, and at the time, also John's roommate. John knew exactly what to expect here. In his interrogation, he had already planted the idea that Cati was dating around, and Crystal, being one of Cati's close friends, also knew about her dating habits. His hope was that she would unknowingly reinforce this misdirection, steering suspicion towards anyone but him.
October 28th, 2016, 4:47 a.m. Sentinel Ridge property. Like I said, all I asked is that we don't put it on your up here. And he's not the only suspect. So we're calling to question it. So has he made his hands back? I go to jail for Katie's murder.
He's just, he said that, it sucks for him because he feels like he's gonna get in trouble for it. But, he's like, I didn't do this, like, I'm tired of people coming after me.
Right.
See, me and John actually really do get along. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie about him at all. I'm gonna tell you the straight up truth. If he's acting weird, I'm gonna tell you that he wasn't. I was thinking last night about it, I really was. Just maybe a split second thought that it could have been John. But he's, ever since Cati's gone missing, he's made sure that there was more than one person around him. At the time that Cati died at 8 o'clock at night, John would, all three of us were sitting over here.
That's
From 5
crazy.
o'clock, when he came back home, till me and my boyfriend left for work the next morning, he was there.
Notice how Crystal mentions that John got home at 5 p.m. and stayed there the entire evening until morning. It's a detail that would later turn out to be part of John's manipulation.
So, if you had to take a guess who killed her,
I don't know because I heard a lot of things, and I know she had a tender, and I know that she was dating a lot of people. She took a lot of people down in the house. I didn't even know the house existed.
What were John's feelings or thoughts toward Katie?
I know that he loved her. I know that he still does. He's mad because of what Cati is accusing. The gun up to my head and stuff like that. And just by the way she was talking, I knew she was lying. Because that's what she did. Me and her used to get each other in trouble all the time in high school. That's what she would do. She would lie, But,
Anything?
Just as John hoped, Crystal's account added fuel to the idea he had planted. By emphasizing Katie's dating life, she unknowingly fed into John's narrative, suggesting the threat may have come from someone she was seeing, maybe even Wayne. Next came Catherine, John's ex-wife and the mother of his child. He had already made sure she wouldn't say too much. Fear, and their shared child, would be enough to keep her quiet.
This is my investigator talking. With you being married to him for 7 years, with the drinking or even sober, has there been any violence between the two of you? I mean, I'm not here to go and arrest him for something that happened 10 years ago or anything like that, but I just don't want to go into anything that had to do with us, because that doesn't have anything to do with what happened between him and me.
I mean, it's not that you're incriminating yourself.
He's a good guy. I mean, I'm alive, gotcha, but I would assume I wouldn't be if he was that crazy.
Well, you never know. One day, sometimes somebody's snap.
But he's never snapped with me for some reason.
Plus, you two have a kid together, so.
Yeah, there's that, but I don't know.
That's something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll give you a business card with my phone number on there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Catherine's silence kept John safe for now, but the final interview with Katie's niece, Cheyenne, would not go according to John's plan. Unlike Crystal or Catherine, she wouldn't protect him. Instead, she would point suspicion directly at John and reveal a motive that would tie everything together. For the first time, his carefully built plan would start to fall apart.
Alrighty. Your name is Cheyenne Paxton, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. It's Thursday, October 27th at 8:52
I
a.m.
had a sweater like that.
Still Police Department. This is in reference to the homicide
Those hemp
investigation.
sweaters.
Caitlin Blackbelt. Have you ever seen John get violent towards Katie?
Never seen them. But his hands. I've seen them argue.
Would Katie have gone over to his house on her own?
Within the last 2 weeks, how long? Like I told.
So he says he hasn't seen her since July.
July, since July. Yeah, no. He's seen her. I know that John is really angry at Katie for a lot of things.
Tell me what he's mad at her for.
He feels like that it's her fault. That all, like, that their relationship went bad. And everything kind of went bad. He feels like it's her fault that he's losing his job. And that he got in any trouble. He just blames it all on her, And I don't know if this matters or not. But I know he has a $150,000 life insurance policy on her too.
Whoa.
I appreciate you coming in, and I know it's not easy. Especially when somebody close to you that support we can get. A lot of this information you gave us good information that we need. So.
I don't know if this is important, but he took out $150,000 life insurance on it too.
Tubi. Free movies and live TV.
Of course, that's important.
A lot of this information you gave us good information that we need. So.
Cheyenne's interview gave detectives their first real motive pointing to John, but motive wasn't enough. They needed evidence.
They have a few leads, but they have no defined person of interest just yet.
As the investigation dragged on, the detectives' frustration began to grow. John had covered himself so carefully that they couldn't even get a judge to approve a DNA warrant. Without it, they had nothing that could tie him directly to Katie's final moments. It's now been 4 days since Katie was killed, and detectives didn't have any solid evidence. They knew John was smart, but so were they. Out of options and patience, they began planning something different. They began forming a new, risky, and very unconventional plan. In just 2 days, they would set a trap for John. A trap at Katie's own funeral. In the days leading up to the funeral, detectives stayed ready. While they waited, Katie's family mourned and tried to make sense of what happened. 22-year-old Katie had spent the past year working at PetSmart, surrounded by animals she was saving and taking care of. She was easygoing and warm, quick to make friends, and close with her family. But her peaceful life from just days earlier would make what was about to come only more unsettling. As the day of the funeral came, detectives entered the funeral home early, working quietly before guests began to arrive. They positioned hidden cameras around the room and secretly wired the space for sound. Everything inside the funeral home looked normal, but in reality, detectives controlled every detail. They placed cups of water and other drinks where guests could easily reach them. The plan was simple. Get John to drink from one of the cups, catch it on video, collect his DNA from the cup, and compare it to the DNA found on Katie's body. On October 30th, the day of the funeral, detectives set their plan into motion. But what their cameras are about to capture goes far beyond anything they expect.
Oh shit, that sucks.
As John leaves the funeral home, detectives know their plan has worked. They quickly return to retrieve the cup he had drank from and the hidden camera they placed earlier. When they review the footage, 3 critical things stand out, all of which will become pivotal to the entire investigation. The first is exactly what they were hoping for. John drinks from one of the cups and leaves it behind, giving detectives the evidence they need to collect his DNA without a warrant and compare it to the samples found on Katie. The second detail is something they never expected. The footage captures John walking up to the casket, taking pictures of Katie's body while making unsettling comments. And the third, perhaps most unsettling of all, is that John isn't alone. Standing beside him is an unidentified young woman who quietly tells him to stop taking pictures, then giggles moments later. Her behavior immediately drew attention, and detectives decided to collect her cup as well for DNA testing. And when they began digging into her identity, they discovered the woman was 17-year-old Hannah Thompson, a friend, and more recently, John's new roommate. They also learned that she had once been close friends with Katie. Given her connection to John and Katie and her strange behavior at the funeral, detectives know Hannah isn't just another witness. She might be the key to solving the entire case. And they were dead on. At this point, detectives have interviewed Wayne, John, and people from both John and Katie's circle. They also collected crucial evidence and leads, and now believe that Hannah, the 17-year-old who lived with John, could be the key to uncovering the truth about Katie's murder. The next day, on October 31st, a week after Katie's death, detectives approach Hannah and bring her in for interrogation. If anyone knows what really happened, it's her.
When was the last time you saw Katie?
Like a few months ago.
What was your feelings towards her?
I mean, I've always seen her as like a friend, because like I lived with her for a little bit.
Right. So is it fair to say you were on good terms with her when she was killed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you end up going to her visitation Saturday?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you didn't get to say goodbye to her? John, I think, went there Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You didn't get to go with him?
I went with him, yeah. I didn't go Saturday because her family doesn't really like me because of her niece Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like kind of like off and on friends. I think she might have said something about me that
Cheyenne is messed up.
Did you go in the room?
Come on, people. I'm almost done. Come back.
It was hard. It was really hard.
How long did you stay in the room?
People could, people's attention span,
10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
What did y'all talk about while you were in there?
We didn't talk at all.
Nothing.
We just see each other moments, I guess.
Did John ever take his cell phone out and take a picture of her?
No, he didn't.
Sure. Or you can tell me, I just Some people do that.
Try it.
Watch Hannah's behavior closely. As the questions get more direct, her eyes start darting between the detectives. She fidgets with her hands, picks at her nails. Her whole demeanor shifts. It's clear she's getting nervous, and the detectives can see it too.
So while you were in that room, you two never talked at all?
I kind of rubbed his back a little bit, you know. I told
We need
him
that
it was
attention
okay, but
span,
other than that,
yo.
we didn't really talk.
I have
Was
patience.
he crying? Were you crying?
It was just hard, like, seeing somebody like that.
I bet. Monday night at some point before you went out, you guys carried out a bag of trash to your car. To his car, right?
I don't.
So you don't recall carrying out a trash bag or him cleaning anything up? Having to put stuff in the trash? Okay.
On Monday, the day Katie was killed, one of their roommates reported seeing John and Hannah carrying out several bags of trash. At the time, detectives didn't think much of it. It felt like a small, irrelevant detail with nothing to back it up. But now, with all this new information coming together, that statement suddenly stood out. It was another piece of the puzzle, something they could finally use to put more pressure on Hannah.
Just so you understand, we've been working this case steady since she disappeared.
Right.
So there's a lot of these things that we know the answers to. I can tell you already, you're lying to me. Okay? You do not want to get wrapped up and catch the murder charge. I gotta tell you that something. At the funeral home, we were there. Okay? There was a camera in the room. There was a recorder in the room. We heard everything you guys said. So do you want to go back and rehash that?
I don't. It was not easy to see her like that.
Is that why there's giggling and stuff?
We've been doing this longer than you've been alive. You're not slicker than us. You know, you're not gonna outsmart us. We've talked to people. This is a murder. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about somebody that would stab her on the neck to the point where the knife went all the way through to the other side, and then stick her body like a piece of trash in the basement of an abandoned house to sit there for a day and a half before somebody finds her?
Okay, she's right here.
I want to look at her.
That's your friend.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Don't want to do what? Don't want to have us find out who killed her?
All you gotta do is tell the truth. It will be so scary.
Yeah, look at her. I can't look at her.
Can I tell you something? To tell the truth, you don't have to try. It just flows. It just comes out.
We're also aware of what people have told us about you and Katie. They're telling us that you didn't like her one bit. Well, after me and John started, like, getting together, Katie started not liking me. If you know something and you're trying to cover up for it, you're gonna go down with the rest of them. You're gonna go down with the person who did this to her. I don't know anything about her murder.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I really don't.
We really do. You do. We know more than you think.
I don't want to talk anymore right now.
Good luck, Jake.
Even after being confronted with the footage and being caught in multiple lies, Hannah refused to give up on any additional details she may withhold. But while none of this gave detectives the definitive proof they needed, John didn't know that, and that uncertainty was exactly what they were counting on. So detectives decide to bring him in again, this time more prepared and ready to push harder than before. They planned to corner him with everything they had. But they'd have to be careful. If they pushed too far without enough to arrest him, it could tip him off, causing him to disappear.
We haven't had a chance to sit down. I know I told you that day that when we notified you about her death, and things are kind of emotional and everything. So, right. So the viewing was Saturday, right?
Right, 2 to 4 on Saturday.
What did you get?
I went Sunday, 2:30 on Sunday.
Okay. So they just had a private thing for you? You by yourself?
Yeah, well, I took Catholic.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was that hard?
Yeah, because I mean, first of all, there's nobody there but me and her, so we're just kind of standing there staring at like Katie's nasty, like dirty, disgusting body. I've seen people dead. I've fucking dealt with this shit before, and now there's nobody else there. You know what I mean?
That night, somebody says you and Hannah were putting some trash from a bag, like a trash bag in the back of the Prius. Do you remember doing that?
Oh yeah. Marley had like the most explosive shit on the floor, and then stunk up the whole house. Like threw out like 4 towels.
This moment reveals Hannah's lie. She claimed she couldn't remember taking any trash out, yet John's statement confirms otherwise. It's a small clue, but one that'll soon become part of a much bigger picture.
So you guys got home around 3 roughly.
Yeah.
Brandon and Crystal were there. What happened after that? After you went home?
We went and met my friend Scott to get some money that he owes me.
What's he?
He owed me $500 for when he crashed my car.
Where'd y'all meet with Scott?
At the Zaxby's on River.
He was in the Army?
Yeah. Yeah, we
got
got
employed together?
We employed together.
Did you do any work before that?
No.
This is where John makes his first mistake, mentioning a name detectives have never heard before. Charles Scott, his friend from the military, someone who'd later prove to know far more about the night Cati died than anyone realized.
I don't know how much you know about cell phones and stuff like that, but as you go around, your cell phone's constantly
Pixel Tower.
searching for signals and stuff like that. So with that said, is there anything, going back to last Monday, is there anything that you told me that your cell phone records would say otherwise?
I don't believe so.
What if I told you that your cell phone did ping somewhere other than where you say you were?
Then I'd also say that her cell phone pinged in West Virginia.
Yeah, that ended up being an AT&T mishap. They
Yeah?
plugged in the wrong phone number.
Yeah, I don't know.
You being a good girl?
What if I told you that Charles
I hope
Scott's
you're
phone
being a
number
good
pinged in the
girl.
same area that yours did, and not around Zaxby's?
Yeah.
Amelia.
Scott Friedman moving on him. We can call him. You can ask him.
What's up?
So the night, this Monday night that we were talking about around 6:15, sometime around that time frame, can you think of any reason your phone would show that you were in that area of Augusta Road and White Horse Road?
No.
Is there any reason you and Charles were talking a lot that evening?
Yeah. Because see, that's the night that he was here. That's the night he was available.
I'm not looking to offend you, but it's questions that we need to get answered and cleared up.
Okay.
Did Cati have any kind of life insurance policy?
Through the military, yeah, she's automatically enrolled.
Okay.
Same with my daughter.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph so we can go ahead and do that with you and eliminate you and start looking
I
elsewhere?
have to talk to my lawyer about that first.
Okay.
See what he says, because I don't know about that at all.
As the interview ends, detectives have their first real connection between John and Charles. Both of their phones show activity near the area where Cati's body was found. It isn't enough to make an arrest, but it's enough to keep digging. And with a new name now tied to the night of the murder, John can sense it. Detectives are closing in. At this point, the main circle of suspects included Wayne, John, Hannah, and now more recently, Charles Scott, John's friend from the Army. But as detectives slowly pressed forward, John was growing uneasy. For the first time, he was starting to realize his master plan might not hold. That's when, on November 4th, 11 days after Cati was killed, detectives received a call that would send the case in a whole new direction. Crystal, who was John's roommate and had been interviewed earlier, came forward with information that changed everything.
Hi, Crystal. Hello. How are you?
What's been going on since, I don't know, you got a phone call on Wednesday?
At 3:30, he called and he said, are y'all at home? And we said no. And he said, okay, all right, bye. And then just hung up. Well, me and Brandon got home about 6:15, 6:30, and we seen that in our room we have, like I said, the Halloween lights just going across the ceiling. The attic is right where that light is at, and I had the lights going across the attic. Well, when we come back, they were just torn down. We haven't even touched them. They were just ripped out from the attic, and once we figured out he was gone, we went searching through the house, making sure all the windows were locked and covered, and because I've never been in a house alone like that, except for my apartment. But he was gone. You know, and we couldn't call him because the cops have his phone. I said, Brandon, we need to go back outside and call the Jacksonville Detective Warlock. And I told him what was happening, and he was like, I was like, if you want to come and search the house right now, I'll give you full permission. He said, well, I can't do that without a warrant. And he he was like, and I was like, well, I mean, there's no way that somebody can come out here and like search the house or anything like that. And he said, no. He said, your best bet is to go stay the night somewhere else. He was like, because you're possibly living with a murderer.
John was gone. His disappearance also meant he abandoned his military service, officially classifying him as a deserter. However, as investigators would soon learn, he wasn't alone. He had fled with none other than the 17-year-old girl, Hannah Thompson. And as officers across the state searched every highway, every motel, every possible route out of South Carolina with no sign of either of them, it became clear this wasn't just an investigation anymore. This was a manhunt. In the days that followed, leads were few. The pair had vanished completely off the grid. A 28-year-old former Army sergeant and a 17-year-old teenager, gone without a trace. Then, on November 19th, 26 days after Katie's death, a small breakthrough happened. John's red Yukon was captured on CCTV near Las Cruces, New Mexico, about 1,600 miles from Simpsonville, South Carolina, where he disappeared. And just 2 days later, on November 21st, that same Yukon was found abandoned in the mountains of Umatilla County in Oregon, over 1,400 miles away from Las Cruces. Inside the vehicle, investigators found John's laptop, clothes, and camping gear scattered around, suggesting that after the crash, John and Hannah grabbed what they could and ran into the woods. The discovery confirmed what detectives had already feared. John and Hannah were constantly on the move, crossing state lines and staying just far enough ahead of law enforcement to vanish again. Later that same day, authorities issued arrest warrants for both John and Hannah, officially turning the case into a nationwide manhunt.
Crazy.
By this point, John and Hannah had already been on the run for over 2 weeks before any warrants were ever issued, putting them far ahead of law enforcement and nearly impossible to track. But once the warrants went active, detectives finally gained full access to their phones, chat logs, and internet history. And that's when their worst suspicions were confirmed.
I just woke up and I already feel sad again. I feel like you're still talking to Katie.
I promise you I'm not talking to Katie.
I will leave you if you talk to her. I swear.
I know, I'm not and I won't. She's gone. I'm done with her. I promise. I'm going through with that thing though soon.
I'm gonna be staying with you.
Good.
The messages between the two suggest that John had been planning the murder for months prior to it actually happening. And upon searching his internet history, they found searches like how to make a two-way radio or how to sharpen a knife, leaving little to no doubt about his involvement.
At Money Mart, we're more than just a quick
How to
money
sharpen a
fix.
knife is
We're
not
part
that
of
serious.
I needed cash fast. I filled out a quick application.
Or how to sharpen a knife, leaving little to no doubt about his involvement. But with John and Hannah still missing, detectives had little choice but to wait, hoping for the next break that could pull them back on the trail. And that's when, on November 25th, 21 days after John and Hannah's disappearance, and over a month after Katie's death, detectives got a call from a South Carolina prison. But the caller wasn't just anyone. The call came from the cellmate of Charles Scott, John's army friend who was already in custody for an unrelated charge. Charles's phone had pinged near the abandoned house on the day Katie died, and his cellmate was about to provide a lead that could give detectives the breakthrough they desperately needed, with details only the killer could have known.
As we're talking today, is that Charles Scott you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yo.
He killed a girl. Helped kill a girl. Which one is blame?
You're like, John, bro.
Something like that. You know, they have put her in a drug house or an abandoned house, in the basement, in a box. That ain't two people know. He's the one that coerced her to the spot where John came behind her and got her, grabbed her. And they met at a different location. When John got her, they put the knife through John stabbed her. I don't know how many times John stabbed her. He didn't say. He said he stabbed her twice. John made him stab her twice. He actually said he scared him when he stabbed her at first, but then after he stabbed her, it made him feel a little better.
William's statements are shocking. His account of what happened closely mirrors the possible events of the night Katie died, and what he says next only grows more disturbing.
He said, well, this is the second time. The first time he told him about, how he coerced her because his wife, now he was going to talk about something about John, trying to help John come off marijuana, and John's on the road real bad. And John grabbed her.
And then, like, one morning, like, he had gotten up and left, and I was just, like, I was just gonna, like, sit here, like, I got up, and I went to, like, down the street to, like,
John went on the run when on May 21st, 2017, investigators received tips and possible sightings of John in Washington, over 2,700 miles from South Carolina, where Cati was found dead, and over 300 miles away from where his red Yukon was found abandoned. Acting on these leads, they canvassed local businesses and retrieved CCTV footage from a parking lot in Washington where John was captured on camera. Unfortunately, despite getting close, John managed to slip away, vanishing off under the radar once again. For the next year, the investigation hit a standstill. It wasn't until September 6, 2018, almost 2 years since Katie's death, when Hannah finally revealed that John had given her his journal and tools to hide, a crucial piece of evidence that would shift the case in a new direction. The journal became a pivotal piece of evidence, revealing John's state of mind and his premeditated intentions. It confirmed that John's actions were driven by a deep desire to be with Hannah and his willingness to kill Cati to make that happen. During her interview, Hannah admitted she had been John's girlfriend and that she had been in constant contact with him before Katie's death. She also confessed that she had hidden John's journal, which contained disturbing entries about his obsessive thoughts and plans to escape with Hannah. This was the last significant breakthrough in the case for years. With no new leads, the investigation stalled. Detectives spent the next few years chasing down small tips and piecing together fragments of information, but nothing substantial came of it. The case gradually faded from public attention. Then, in 2022, 6 years after Katie's death, everything is about to change. After over 6 years of dead ends, U.S. Marshals and local law enforcement tracked John down in Oregon. He had erased his past, now living under the alias Ben Klein. Under his new identity, he had started a fresh life, marrying a new woman and leaving his past behind.
Yo, how these people find
surreal. John,
relationships and I can't even get one?
Capture, was now
And he's a
cornered.
murderer.
After years of hiding in plain sight, the truth had finally caught up with him, and the case was nearing its resolution. However, the mystery of how Cati was lured to the abandoned house remains unsolved to this day. Her phone was recovered damaged, limiting investigators' ability to access message content and app-based communications. And while rumors suggested Charles Scott might have had contact with her, this was never confirmed. With no physical or forensic evidence tying him to the crime, he was ultimately ruled out as a suspect and never sentenced. In 2022, during an interview after John's arrest, Hannah revealed for the first time that she and John had been in regular contact throughout the years he was on the run, continuing to text and communicate, even after she had returned to South Carolina. This new revelation shed light on her role in helping John evade capture. Finally, on September 20th, 2024, John Blauvelt was convicted of Katie's murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Hannah Thompson was charged with obstruction of justice and accessory after the fact, receiving a sentence of 10 years.
Ooh.
What if we told you that the hottest casino in town was
Crazy.
actually...